go ahead and get on to this next one. We got the NCAA's treatment of women in their tournament for March Madness, and this was a little crazy, man. I don't know. I think we should show the pictures and stuff first and the video first of what they were doing with what they had laid out for the ladies. Then we'll give our reactions. But this is like what they were feeding them. I don't know. That looks like Salisbury steak. For the will, I used to hate that at school lunch, bro. I hated it. And you got the men over there with filet cuts, nigga, lobster mac. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy, you know, with the party packs and stuff that they get to players, and that's crazy. Like, you know, they literally did the bare minimum for the women. So I need to get you all's thoughts on that. And, you know, somebody who was actually at the tournament, you know, for the men, I'm gonna start it off with Cop, man. Let me get your thoughts just on the NCAA and just how they initially treated the women.
Man, I'm gonna first start off by saying that the food for the men wasn't that good either. So, it wasn't.
Let's keep it a buck there, yeah.
100, but yeah. Man, it's totally, man. I was totally taken back and you know, just upset by the treatment that the women were getting. And the one thing that you know, it throws me off about the NCAA, it's a nonprofit organization, but they're taking in all of the revenue that's generated from the men's and women's side. So it's not like, even though the men, a lot of people maybe certain people want to make the argument that men generate more money for the NCAA. It doesn't matter. The whole institutional organization, they have the amenities to provide. I mean, let's be real. 68 teams on both sides. Like, they could have given the women exactly what we got on the men's side, because at the end of the day, they're bringing in all the money and they have it. I mean, they had the facility. You know, they definitely have the revenue. It's a complete disgrace, man, as to how they treated these women athletes who also go out there, work just as hard, you know, and put on for their programs, just like the men do. So, I mean, like, looking at that weight room, like, I will say that the men, on the men's side, they did do. I thought they did a pretty good job with providing, you know, weight rooms. The weight room was pretty nice. But that's just ridiculous, man. I mean, and then the female athlete from the Oregon women's team, she made a great point that they said that they tried to make an excuse as to there wasn't enough space, it wasn't the funding for a weight room, and then she proved in the video it was more than enough space. I mean, we stated it was a convention center attached to all the hotels, and I'm pretty sure that the women had a similar setup. So space was not the issue. It's just a total, you know, just a disgrace, like I said, and it shows how much progression we need to still fight for, and, you know, to fight for equal rights, for gender equality, racial equality, and all, and the list goes on. So, I mean, I was definitely taken back by it, and the women athletes deserve much better.
Yeah, Nate, let me get your thoughts on that, man. Let me just with everything that went down with the treatment of the other women.
Man, I think Cott hit it right on the head, man. When you NCAA is one entity, and I think that's kind of where, you know, the line has to get drawn, and as opposed to, you know, the WNBA and NBA, while they are affiliated, they're two separate entities, right? So obviously the pay scale is going to be different. They're two separate businesses, you know, business models. However, the NCAA is one central unit, you know, so for them to, you know, even try to treat, you know, men and women differently was just, like Kai said, just disgraceful. And like their excuse for it, you know, not enough room, when she clearly proved that there was enough room, you know, I mean, more than enough room to get a much more solid weight room set up than they had in there. And it just really didn't make any sense for something like that to happen. Like Kai said, it's 68 teams. They bring in billions of dollars from maybe one or two games. Sometimes we're talking about, you get to the Final Four, you get to the Elite Eight, you know, you're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars worth of revenue off people that aren't getting paid. And then, you know, the women, they're working hard, just as hard as the men, as Kai said. So, you know, for them to get the short end of the stick, you know, which is often a issue in society, whether it's race, whether it's gender, like I was talking about, you know, people always end up getting the short end of the stick. And in this situation, it was just unfair because, I mean, they got invited to the same tournament the men did, the exact same tournament, the exact same number of teams, you know, different cities. So for them to get a different setup and think that people wouldn't find out about it is the worst part about it. With social media and, you know, the way everything is these days, like I feel like, yeah, they just definitely didn't put in enough effort, and they clearly just didn't care enough, which is something that needs to be addressed between the NCAA.
Yeah. Amir, let me get your thoughts on this. My bad. I'm looking down. I'm trying to do some math and stuff like that because I got some fire for these niggas, man.
No, I mean, to be frank, I think that shit's fucked up, to be honest.
For sure.
The bare minimum do is when you host these type of events, like to give what these athletes need. I think Nate and Cop both said like they work just as hard as the men. To be honest, I think an argument can be made that they work harder because, to be honest, we know that a lot of these guys may not go to the NBA, but a lot of them are able to. We know that that's a possible opportunity after the fact for basketball, specifically the WNBA. It's just now getting the publicity because we have a lot of our figurehead NBA athletes endorsing it, but the pay is incomparable. I mean, I think in many ways I make right now what a lot of the top players in the WNBA make, which is also crazy. So the least you can do is the tournament is respectful enough to give them the things that they need. Like they're giving them Salisbury State. These are D1 athletes, like the top female athletes in the world in many ways, and the country at the very least are being represented, and you're giving them Salisbury steaks and frozen vegetables. Like that's crazy. And then on top of that, the workout, like that was nuts. When I saw it, I honestly thought it was a joke. So I was like, ain't no way that they gave them one dumbbell set. Don't even
for an entire 68 team tournament. Like when I saw that, I'm like, yo, there's no like who edited this, bro? Like when I saw that, I was like, who edited this?
Yeah. I mean, like I know we got two agents in the building, but like I'm sure we all know, like, bro, weights. Y'all have sponsors for that. Y'all don't even pay for the weights that are in the gyms at these other schools. Y'all couldn't go to Indianapolis or wherever the place is and take the weights out of the gym that are not being used right now because I doubt
Indianapolis, where they're headquartered.
Yeah,
man.
Headquartered.
You know what I'm saying? Take some weights from one place and put them somewhere else and make sure that the ladies have things that they need. Like I just think it's bullshit, and I think that's why. I know we're gonna go into this last point later, but I think that's where it shows like the NCAA doesn't deserve these players. They don't deserve the guys, and they definitely don't deserve the women. So I'm glad that they got what they needed. I'm glad that they were able to push through and get all the stuff that helped keep them in tip-top shape so they can continue to compete and give us a good quality product on the screen. But that's fucked up, and I hope that the NCAA pays for this in the long run.
Hey,
I feel like they won't pay for it just because I guess they did like add on to the weights and stuff, and I don't know if they changed what they've been feeding them, but they added on to the weights and stuff, and all the girls was like, oh yeah, like AJ, like bro, fuck all that. I'm talking about how you initially treated me. I don't care that you changed the way you treated me. Let's talk about how you treated me from the jump. Initially, you know what I'm saying? So you are. What was you saying, Cott?
I'm saying that's how you really feel is what's done initially. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To complain and you know put it on social media, them take hella heat for them to even do something about it. So I mean that's ingenuous at that point.
So it's like facts, bro. It totally ingenuine. I'm happy you said that. And it's like, bro, if that's what y'all on, bro, like first off, I'm thinking all the way to myself. I'm like, bro, why do colleges even feel like they should be like have the NCAA over them? Like, bro, I wouldn't like, bro, I'm not about to talk to y'all. I'm about to talk to these schools and bust this bag down with these schools I'm about to play against. Like, bro, I don't need y'all because they allegedly they give back 96% back to the division and the colleges, to the conference and the colleges and stuff like that. Which I don't know. That seems a little cap to me, and they only keeping 4%. But still, what was that? 2019 when they made like over $1 billion. That's still $40 million. You know what I'm saying? So that the NCAA is just taking in by themselves, and it's like, bro, y'all can't keep doing this. Like Amir said, we're gonna get to this later on, like talking about the future of the NCAA, but they can't keep doing this, bro, because this is like the way that they treated them was just foul, bro. And if nobody would have posted a video, we would have never known. And it's like it just double downs on how much they even feel, because they know what type of times we are in. The phones is out every day. Every second of it, it's a phone out, bro. Everything is being covered. So they're willing to risk, like, man, we about to get these shorties just little 10 dumbbells. And hey, it is what it is. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, that's what they were cool with from the jump. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the girls did themselves a disservice by position themselves in another way to demand more from them. I get it. I get the boys are the cash cow. I totally get it. But when it's something that's not for profit, of course, well, I'm going to say this. Since the boys are the cash cow, probably I'll say more money will probably be allocated towards the cash cows. But it's like, bro, this is a non-for-profit. You got to spread this cheese out, bro. You can't just you can't give college students, like, I don't know, bro. Amir, this is like eating that Spelman and going to eating the West End. Like, bro, you can't. I think
to your point, it's like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, and I know we're gonna talk about this topic later, but I really don't like the NCAA sometimes. But I think the thing is, the point you just made, you're saying, okay, well, the guys are the cash cows, so they need to be treated as such. If you want to treat them as such, then pay them.
Facts.
So don't pick how you want to treat the cash cows, as we call them, or as the top tier guys, and say, well, they generate the most money. Well, clearly you decide that in other situations, because football, they generate even more money than that. But
yeah. Hey, Amir, real quick. And if you're not paying them, hey, they got to go this way, then that kind of embodies a little slave mentality. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like we just free labor. We free labor.
I think pretty much.
Well, they gonna throw in that
$40 million
scholarship. They gonna throw in the scholarship amenities every time. That's
cool. That's cool. But let's think about the kids that really benefit. Well, I say for some kids that's in there that's playing for the NCAA, it's cool. Just because some of them, it's not their aspiration to go on and be a pro star. Some of them just want 10,000, some cut off they tuition. But it's not like a school like University of Michigan. It's pretty much free now. If your family makes less than $60,000, you could go to U of M for free. This is a public university. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't keep playing that. Well, bro, we get them scholarships. No, bro, these schools is turning free now. So I could get if it's most like a private school like Morehouse, where at Morehouse you got to pay 50 bands. But bro, these big PWIs are free. You know what I'm saying? So they can't keep. Bro, you got the scholarship right here. Why would I take a $50,000 scholarship? Let's say if I'm a one and done, and we going, like we said, I hate we talking about it, but we're gonna get to it in
and we might as well just make that the topic right now.
Yeah, we gonna bring it in too, just the future of the NCAA as well. But why would I take 50,000, especially if I'm speaking from a one and done perspective? And let's say if the institution I'm going to is $50,000 a year, which is totally not realistic because PWIs and public institutions are not $50,000 a year. Yeah, so let's say I'm taking a $50,000 scholarship as opposed to taking $300,000 to $400,000 playing in the G League. Are you out your mind? And I could profit off of it. I could throw camps in. Like, come on, bro, is you stupid?
You're touching on a point that I really would like to get Nate and Cott's opinion on, because they're well on their way to representing these guys, and I'm very much so trying to get to that point. But my argument is just that if you don't want to look at me for what I am or what I'm representing this individual to be, then we will have to make the best decision for that individual and their families. A lot of these guys are coming from backgrounds where they are literally the first person in their family to make money at the level that they're going to be making it at. So for you to then sit back and say, okay, well, we're not going to pay you, but yet we still want you to represent represent UNC, represent Kentucky. Well, then what's the benefit? We might as well just get him out of here now and go somewhere that is get paid and then still preserve your body, be trained properly, be in the position where you're developing that professional development, and then go into the draft a year later, because the NBA is going to need you regardless, whether you're hurt, whether you haven't really developed too much. So I really want to get their opinions, but I think that young culture, that whole people going to Duke because that's how you ride the wave, I think that's overrated.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of
real quick before I let Kai and Nate chime in.
Yeah.
Do y'all know how much money Zion would have made if he didn't go to Duke that 1 year? Like, bro,
at least
he
30.
was a
At least 30.
superstar. He probably would have made tens of millions of dollars. And he made he made over $100-some million for well over that, because the one game that they played against UNC, just off the tickets they sold for the arena, did $23 million.
Obama,
so, you know what I'm saying?
Obama was, you know, the vibes.
All right, so let me chime in on this one, man. I'm in agreement. I do think the general concept of the NCAA is very poorly executed and poorly ran. Like, I do believe that the majority, well, athletes in general, if their schools are getting paid for it, they should get paid for it, because at the end of the day, I can be a student on scholarship at a university and have a job, right? And I can make money. Or if I was just a famous person at a university, I could still be famous, go on Instagram right now and license my my likeness, right? So why shouldn't they be able to? But I will say that I'm not completely like over the NCAA, because I do think it's a very viable option for a lot of people. Like, you got to think, NBA is 60 draft spots a year. You feel me? And 30 of those not guaranteed in the second round. In the NBA in general, there's only 450 roster spots. You feel me? So that's not that many compared to how many thousands of NCAA D1 athletes there are. So I will say it is a viable source for a lot of people. The percentage of chance of you going to the NBA is just not very high. Like, we often talk about the NCAA. We're often only talking about the 1 year dudes, So your Zions, your RJ Barretts, but like, you got to address the entire NCAA population. There's dudes and there's good things, but there's obviously terrible things about the NCAA. Like, you're not getting paid, obviously, while you're in school. You got to act like a professional, carry yourself accordingly, but there's some advantages, right? So say you're a dude that went to a small school for like 3 or 4 years. That college community loves you. You got fans forever. So even if you don't go on to the NBA, you feel me? You could go overseas, you could play, you feel me? But you could come back and be a celebrity in whatever town you are. Say you a Fred VanVleet, you went to Wichita State 4 years, you built up this huge brand in Kansas. Now you're a brand, somewhere that you may not have had a market share before. So I do think that the NCAA is valuable from that standpoint. Because if you're good to that community, not only do you have the NBA community that you're drafted into, but you have a completely another community behind you. Like, those fans, they do ride hard. Like the Dukies, the UNC people, they're crazy. Like, those are the type of fans that when you get to the NBA, they're still supporting you. That's why the Jason Tatums, they sell a lot of jerseys. That's why the Kemba Walkers or the UConns, they sell a lot of jerseys, because they had ties to universities. But in the grand scheme, I do think the one and done, that is a flawed system. I do think that you should, if you're able to go to the NBA fresh out of school, by all means, I think you should. Like a dude like Imani Bates, he should never have to touch college. He should really never even have to touch the G League. He should be able to get drafted fresh out. Like, you could tell by certain guys, but at the same time, there was a period where people were drafting dudes fresh out of high school and they weren't ready, and they never were ready. So
Darius Miles.
Like the NBA, well, he was productive, all right. Darius did his thing.
I wasn't rocking with D Miles, bro. I'm sorry.
But so like at the end of the day, like, we got to look at the NCAA for its entirety. They do have a lot of issues, but I will say in the grand scheme, the scholarship, it's not right. Like, the big time programs should get paid, but then you got to go to like the small programs, like a Howard University or like a Spelman. How do you allocate what those dudes are getting paid when they don't, necessarily make revenue? That's going to kill the small schools if you start paying all the big schools. No one's ever going to go to a small school, so if they're not getting paid. So there's a lot of things we got to hammer out when it comes to paying NCAA athletes. That there's a lot of details there, but they do deserve to get paid. But the small schools are going to get destroyed. They're not going to get any talent if they're they don't have the same resources.
But I feel like even as a small school saying that they deserve to get paid, so cool. Let's say that they do get paid, but it should be based on the amount of dollars they bring in. So okay,
but that's what I'm saying. You'll never go to a small school though. Like no one will ever try to go to a small school.
Everybody don't got the opportunity to go to big schools.
But that's
like you said, like you know what I'm saying? Like everybody don't got the opportunity to go to these big schools. And I'm just purely speaking like D1. I ain't talking like D2 and D3 because I know those are, you know what I'm saying, totally different situations. But D1 for sure, bro. Like you should be getting paid.
But we have some people, for example, right? You know, it's people that went to Howard, like a dude like RJ Cole, you know, went to Howard. He had some mid-tier D1 offers. He decided to go to a school like a HBCU, you know. We don't really bring our basketball team at Howard, you know, no offense. We barely bring in everything because we're not on national TV, you know. We don't really pay, you know, ticket stands to get inside the arena, you know. Like, they're not bringing in much revenue. So it's like, why would I ever, as a recruit, pick to go to somewhere like that? You know, like, that's why it makes it hard, a catch-22 for the small schools. Because, like, man, I'd rather just go try to walk on at Kentucky. You know, I'd rather just try my luck. You know, if I'm going to get paid, you know, X, Y, and Z, 25,000. I'm never going to try to go to a small school and help them out. I'm always going to go to the big school. So it's, you know, it is a real catch-22.
For sure. Kyle, let me get your thoughts just on all this before we wrap it up.
Man, you guys made some great points. But I'm really I'm had to agree with Nate. I think that the NCAA, it does bring value to a lot of people's lives that we don't see. Because like you all were mentioning, Micah, you threw in Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is a generational player. Like, there are 1 in a million Zion Williamson. So there are a lot of guys who utilize that NCAA or that full-time scholarship that they're getting from these institutions and make a great living. And which I think a lot of athletes don't take full advantage of because they get so blinded by the sight of making it to the NBA when all in all, you want to set yourself up so you can support your family in the future. That's what it's all about. But the most flawed thing that I've noticed is that, yes, although they make the case with these athletes are receiving full-time scholarships, it's 2021. You cannot survive just off a full-time scholarship. I think the major thing that needs to be changed with the NCAA is them stop being such strictures on how these athletes are getting money. Like if there is a booster at a university who is successful and supports the team and they have a kind heart and want to help that athlete out, then I think that should be totally fine and totally legal. That is under their jurisdiction. There's nothing illegal. If it was a regular person on the street and you decided to give the person some money, there's nothing against the law about that. But yet the NCAA and like you said, I mean, these kids are coming from all different types of backgrounds. A lot of kids come from majority of these athletes. They're coming to change the situation. They don't have the support system where they can the money isn't there. So while nook and cranny to see if these guys are receiving some type of form of payment to like, I mean, let's be real.
Let them.
Sometimes, right? Let them. Like, I mean, it's certain times athletes like for instance at Howard. We used to get out of practice at 9 o'clock at night. There's the cafeteria is closed. Really, the only thing to eat is takeout. I mean, at that point in time, so I have the money to
now you spending a dub or better on food at night.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's like how does that full-time
scholarship is paying for food?
But your scholarship covers the meal plan. The cafeteria is closed at that time. So where do you eat? So I will say that it should be based on level of your program because let's be real. I mean, you have to. Every school doesn't have the amenities or the revenue to just throw out money. But I do think that every school they do make enough money where they can factor that into their budget. And by the level of your program, it should be varied on that. But it definitely needs to be something that's implemented because a scholarship, though it can set you up for the long run, you need to survive in the moment. So that's the biggest issue that I have with the NCAA. But there are a lot of positives too, as Nate said. I mean, first of all, you're creating a network. A lot of the times these student athletes, they wouldn't even go to a university if it wasn't for sports. And this it's a life-changing opportunity to get a degree. to network, and you never know who you can meet. I mean, and things like that if the athlete takes advantage of it. So I do think that the NCAA is safe just because of that regard. But I will say that I think that the top level athletes are going to stop going to universities because they can start monetizing their likeness initially out of college. I mean, there's no point for a dude like Zion Williamson. Nate, as you brought up, or let's take a guy like Jalen Green, for instance. That was a revolutionary contract that he just signed with the G League. 5 days to come. He can get endorsements right now. He can get paid. Monetizes his Instagram following.
He could throw camps, so wherever he's from, he good.
Anybody could give him a Bentley if they wanted to. Anybody could give him how much money they wanted to.
500 racks, and he's making 500. But
the G League season was only 20 games, maybe.
Right, and you're getting the publicity, and you're right there. It's a direct pull to the big leagues where you're trying to go. So I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of guys, top high level athletes, take that route instead of going to a university. Like let's be real. I mean, a lot of these dudes, these one and done guys, they don't even get the full college experience. You're there for 6 months. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna lie, bro. So, you can't, and I'm speaking personally because I know somebody who went D1 at a high level and made it to their pro sport without giving up names or anything. But off rip, it was a PWI too. Off rip, it was 200 just for coming down there. You know what I'm saying? Because he in the middle of the country, 200, and I'm talking about 200 big ones. You know what I'm saying? Just to come down there. Then let alone whatever they was dishing them, you feel me, during them 2 years, because he played football, so you got to put them 2 years in. So bro, people ain't about to go nowhere without no cheese, bro. You about to have to start putting up some cheese. And Kyle, you said something that was just interesting to me. Like you said, y'all was getting out of practice at 9, so y'all pretty much have to do takeout every night. I used to feel bad for our guys. Because our calf, you don't want to be in there unless it's a Wednesday or a Friday. Amir, how many times did you do takeout?
We all went to the HBCU, bro. Trust me. We know.
Sodexo.
Bro. Outside of freshman year, because, freshman year, you ain't used to the environment. You like, damn, and we got unlimited swipes our freshman year. So it's like, man, we come in here anytime, eat whatever niggas wasn't caring about what they was eating in, but sophomore year and junior, bro, I ain't about to be eating in this month. Bro, I didn't spend. I ain't even gonna say that. But the amount of money niggas done spent on food is ridiculous, bro.
This the difference between football and basketball, though, and this is why the NCAA is gonna have a lot of different details to hammer out. Is because in basketball, I think you could be ready to go to the league at 18, 19. In football, I wholeheartedly don't think dudes are ready to go to the NFL that level after high school. I really do think that 2 years in football makes a lot of sense. Just in terms of just getting bigger and getting stronger and just getting used to playing bigger guys. I do think football, they're gonna have to figure out a way to make that work, because you got to pay dudes to stay at that point. But there's no other alternative really for the NFL, and that's really the biggest issue for football. So how are they going to make a uniform decision to pay every athlete in every single sport? That's going to be another thing they're going to have to iron out. So there are a lot of details to it, but, I just don't think, besides basketball, there's a lot of different alternatives. Soccer, there's also a lot of different alternatives across the world. But besides, football, NFL is really the only professional league you can go. So, it's kind of a direct feeder. As opposed to basketball, you can go overseas. You got G League. You got a lot of different options now. So if football is a different environment.
I think the difference between
let me get a mirror in here. Let me get a mirror in real quick before we wrap it up, because we about to wrap it up.
I think to Nate's your point real quick. I think the difference between football and basketball, from what I've seen and what I've heard, is football and basketball, they work. I mean, college football and the NFL, they work together because they know each person's relationship between the two. They know that. Develop the players because the sports are so different, so that they purposely doesn't put games on Saturdays. They purposely give the season time for the college guys to have their moments on Saturdays because they know that the return is going to come to them in the long run. I think where college basketball and the NBA are different is that they know, to your exact point, we can get this kid out of high school and he's ready to ball. Or we'd rather where he still needs to develop because we'd rather develop him in our system than having him go and sit here and not really develop because they're paying him because they really need him more than he needs them. And then we need to develop him another 2 or 3 years after. Picture a Jason Tatum coming out of high school, going straight to Boston at number 1. He still would have been balling, I think, even earlier as opposed to a couple of years to come in. And I think to that point, they see that, so they've created the G League. I definitely agree with y'all. If we're looking at the some of the guys that we may know and things like that, some of these guys are able to go to college where, quite frankly, they may not have been able to go, and it changed their whole trajectory of their lives just to go to college. I'm more so talking about the guys that we clear cut. They come into high school ready to go to the NBA.
The one and dones. I'm in agreement with you on that. Like the one and done shouldn't be in existence.
Yeah, in regards to the Van Vliets and the guys who made a career in college, 100% agree. And I think that's where the NCAA is going to eventually turn to, is you're going to have a lot of those guys who are going to be juniors and seniors that are actually going to be first-round talents as opposed to how we look at that they first-round talent.
You're going to get a better product. Because dudes gonna want to be there longer, because they have more advantages to being in college. Like they're not ready for the NBA yet, or they think they maybe won't go to the NBA. But you're gonna get better teams, and that's what you're seeing in the NCAA March Madness. A team like Loyola, they're good, they're technical because they've been playing together for a while. So I think you get better product on both ends, but they just got to go ahead and pull that trigger already.
Yeah.
Yeah.